So that's something else I would tell people too. If they're starting a fitness journey, understand that as you struggle and as you sweat and as you, maybe you're not getting your hip moves or whatever it is you're doing, that's okay, because with all of that struggle, you're working that much harder. And when you get there, it's going to be that much greater, and you're going to be that much happier. It's going to be that much more rewarding. And so really appreciate that struggle, because I appreciate all that kind of that blood, sweat, and tears you put into it, because like I said, when you get there, it's going to be that much sweeter.
Welcome to the Powerplantbody podcast. This is a project that centers around interviews with people who are affecting change in their local and global communities through conscious movement and exercise, mental, emotional, and spiritual work, and plant-based nutrition and lifestyle practices. Jane Elizabeth is an inspiring teacher and coach with an equally inspiring story. Jane taught herself to be a strong role model for her daughter by taking control of her health and adopting a whole food vegan diet. And now she's teaching others to do the same. During our interview, Jane and I talk about what it means to align your actions with your values. And she speaks about the important role that parents are playing to help shape a better future for our planet. Jane shares with us how she navigates conversations around veganism, what can often be a controversial subject, through kindness, compassion, and constructive open-mindedness with the person that she's speaking with. She believes in the power of inspiring others to change by being the change that she wishes to see in the world. From a practical level, Jane dives into how she breaks down big goals into manageable sections, and how she teaches her clients, both in person and online, to find their awesome, as she puts it, by achieving their big goals using the same tools. In fact, she even has her very own online training app, which I've linked in the show notes in this episode. Jane is a genuinely, compassionately empowered individual, and that shines through in our interview together. I know that you're going to connect with what she has to share, so without any further delay, I bring you Jane Elizabeth. I appreciate you being on the podcast, Jane. You know, I know a little bit about you, but I'd love it if you just give us the cliff notes on who you are and what you do, and then we'll dive into how you got there.
Sure. All right. Well, my name is Jane. I am a personal trainer, and I'm a mom. I'm an athlete, and I'm a vegan. And getting here has been a little bit of a journey. If you looked at my life 2 years ago, yes, I was still a mom, but I had not quite gotten to where I am now. So it has been a journey. And I think in general, you know, being that I haven't always been fit and I haven't always been vegan, I certainly wasn't raised this way. I'm using that to help inspire people to maybe at least think about starting their journey towards living a cruelty-free life and taking care of themselves from a fitness standpoint, from a health standpoint, to be, you know, the person they've always wanted to be, to really find their power and find their strength.
Well, yeah, you really stand out as someone who is very compassionate and also someone who's taken charge of their life and showing people how to do so in their own lives. But as you said, you weren't always that way, right? You had your own challenges. You had your own movement through the challenges that you faced. What was that? What was the life before who you are today?
Oh, wow. Well, you know, I really think I had a pretty average life. I mean, I worked in corporate America. I was in human resources for more than a decade, in sales for a decade, more than a decade before that. So I had a really normal life, I guess. I played out in a rock band for over a dozen years. So that was pretty exciting. Yeah, that's a part of my life. It's part of my story. I'm a musician as well. And, you know, like I said, I wasn't raised, you know, vegan. So yeah, I was busy all the time. And I had actually experienced several losses in my late teens, early 20s, and early 30s. And I didn't really deal with that very well. And I was really punishing my body for going through loss and not really taking the time to grieve. And, you know, I would go out and have fast food. I would do anything easy, anything quick. And I think a lot of people kind of fall into that, especially, you know, once we're out of our parents' houses, right? Once we experience life on our own and we're adults, then we can do anything we want. So why not do the easy thing and, you know, the quick thing? And when you play it on a band, one of the only things that's open late at night is something like White Castle, which is probably one of the worst things you can eat. Any kind of fast food, really. Although now I hear that White Castle is offering some type of vegan option.
I've heard that too.
Not that I would, you know, eat that at this point, but I'm really glad that they have that that option for people. But Um, and so getting to the point where, I didn't really even realize how bad things were from a health standpoint. I had my daughter, and when she was about a year old, I was looking at family pictures of us. I had actually just finished grad school. I was in grad school when I was pregnant with her, working full time. I was so busy.
Wow.
And yeah, and then, she was born, so I finished while she was an infant and doing what I thought I was supposed to do. We're so conditioned to believe certain things. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go to grad school. I'm going to continue my career in corporate, human resources. This is what I'm supposed to do with my life. And was it what I wanted to do? I don't really know. I don't really know that I thought about what I really wanted to do or what I was meant to do or my purpose. I was just doing what I thought I should do. And but I was looking at these family pictures and, I was in my cap and gown in one of the pictures and I shared that on social media.
I've seen that picture.
Yeah. And she was about a year old in that picture and I didn't even recognize myself. I mean, I looked and I thought, who is this woman holding my daughter? Who is this person? How did I get to this point? Mm-hmm. And I was looking at her and I was telling her, you need to be healthy. You need to be fit. You need to eat well and be well. And I want her to be this really strong, independent, compassionate, amazing person. But I wasn't setting a good example. And that was really, really, really hard. I mean, when you look at yourself as a parent and you think, if I want my kids to have the best life possible, I need to be a reflection of that. I need to do that because kids learn from what we do more than from what we say. We can say things all day long, but if we're not showing that type of behavior, ultimately, they're not going to respond. So I thought, I need to do this for her. So she's really the reason why I started looking into, getting fit. I thought, I need to do this. I just need to buckle down and do it. Luckily, I've always had a really good work ethic. So that's probably my biggest selling point, to be honest with you, is my work ethic. I mean, if I were to say one thing, that's it. The veganism part, I've always called myself an animal lover. And we have rescue dogs. I've been involved in the rescue community locally for a very, very long time. And I think, we're so conditioned to believe that we can call ourselves animal lovers so long as we differentiate between the animals we have as pets and the animals we eat. Mm-hmm. And that really never resonated well with me. So really, when I started looking into veganism, it had nothing to do with the environment or health or anything else. It was simply, it never sat well with me to eat animals because I love animals. Mm-hmm. So it was easy to cut out the meat. That was super, super easy. But once, having my daughter and I nursed her. And so looking into dairy and what happens in that industry, that was a pretty clear cut. For me, it was easy to say, okay, I'm done with that because I'm a mom. And as a mom, I can't justify. There's no moral reason for me to be able to justify doing this anymore, to be consuming dairy. So I just stopped. And once I did that and I was starting to get fit, I'm a lifelong asthmatic. So that's probably something that I have shared, but I don't know if you know that. But once I cut out the dairy, the really interesting part is I went from not being able to run a mile to being able to just keep running until I couldn't run anymore from a physical standpoint. Wow. And now I run anywhere between 7 and 20 plus miles a day. I'm a distance runner. I'm an endurance athlete. I'm actually training for an ultra marathon, which is really cool. So, I mean, it's had some really great impacts for me from a health standpoint, but that's not why I did it in the first place. It's just now that I'm aware, I want everybody else to be aware too. So yeah, it's been quite a journey. And the thing is, looking back at pictures, even from not just that picture for me holding my daughter, but I look back, there was this 10-year challenge, right? And I'm 38 now. And when I looked back at the picture of me at 28, I was overweight in that picture. I was unhealthy. And, my body looked exactly how I felt, which is just broken and defeated. And I had no idea where I was going. And so, this has been an issue for a very long time. So I think one of the things about me that probably makes me a little bit different is that I did come from that place of being kind of in this emotional and physical hole. And I dug myself out, and it hasn't been easy. But if I can do it, anybody can do it. I mean, anybody can do it. You really, really can. It takes time and you have to be patient with yourself, but you really can do it. And so I think that's part of my journey that might resonate with people, because it's that being patient with yourself and allowing yourself to fail and learning from those failures, because it's a part of that process. It's a very, very important part, because people are so afraid of failure. But you shouldn't be, because if you don't fail, you're not going to learn. So go ahead and let yourself fail. Try it anyway. Do it. And then you're going to learn. You're not going to make that same mistake again. So I think that's a pretty important message for people too.
I believe it. There's that saying, and I'm going to get it wrong, but the master has failed more times than the apprentice has even tried. The thing that I really like about what you're saying, and something that's very apparent in your media, your social media, is, well, you have a lot of compassion towards animals. So you said that you had a hard time making that distinction between the animals that we have as pets and the animals that we eat. And that shows a lot of compassion. And on the other end of that, a part of that is the self-compassion, the compassion inwards as well. And the thing that I see a lot from your social media is the way that you're affecting your own life and the lives of those who follow you is through this compassionate diet, not just for the animals that it's compassionate towards, because it's a more eco-friendly, more loving diet, but it's also loving to the inside as well. And that seems to be a big part of the change that you're able to affect in yourself and those that follow you as well. Am I getting that right?
Yes, that is absolutely right. And that was one of the really cool things, is that after going vegan, I started looking into the environmental, aspects of it, because I think we're so conditioned to believe that our responsibility to the environment ends at the recycle bin or at the compost pile. And people really aren't aware, or maybe don't want to be aware of, how, what we put in our bodies impacts the environment. And there's this disconnect between those two things. And it's like feeling that we're taught to believe that world hunger, right? Our responsibility ends at clearing our plates instead of looking at what we put on our plates in the first place. And the same with our own bodies. I mean, we're not taught to really respect our own bodies. We're taught that, we have to eat meat, basically consume dead animals and animal products and byproducts in order to be healthy, when in reality, we're making ourselves sick. And so as part of my message isn't to judge people, because most of us were not raised vegan. I mean, this is something that, some people were, and I think those people are so incredibly fortunate to be in that position where they are healthy, and they are so used to this way of eating that it comes so naturally for them. But for the rest of us, it's a little bit of a struggle, or it was for me anyway, at first. But it is a more compassionate lifestyle for yourself too. And I think when we are doing research into things, what I had to do is take my ego out of the equation and to look at the facts. And actually, I think that part of working in human resources before for so many years is taking what I think I know out of the equation altogether, because it doesn't matter. What I think I know doesn't matter at all. I have to look at the facts. And that's how I have to base what I'm going to present to a group of people, let's say, in my old life. And so that really helped me too, because I had to do that same thing when I was looking into veganism, and realizing that, when we're putting fresh food, and by fresh food, obviously fruits, vegetables, whole grains into our bodies, that's taking care of ourselves. And then we're also taking care of the environment and animals. And I have dogs. They're vegan too. So my daughter's vegan, and, she's never had meat. She's super healthy. Yeah.
Amazing.
And
So she's one of those people.
She's one of those people. Yes. Well, and I think so. And she loves animals, and she's 3 years old now. And, she loves animals. She loves our rescue dogs. We have 3 senior rescue dogs, and they're just really, really sweet. And so I don't have to explain to her why we would save these animals but eat these other animals who also are sentient beings, who have feelings, who have emotions and who have families of their own. I'm able to say to her, no, we love all animals and we respect all animals and we don't harm any animals, at least not intentionally. I'm very well aware that there are, some insects and whatnot that can be impacted negatively when we, produce crops and things like that. But that's not intentional, obviously. So there is that argument and I get that. But that's unintentional harm versus intentional harm. So it's really great because as a parent, I'm able to say what I mean and mean what I say and let my behavior reflect my beliefs. And that's a huge part of being a parent and being a good role model for her and just showing her what a fit and healthy mom looks like inside and out. And ultimately, to teach her to value herself, I have to be able to show her that I value myself. And I think moms, parents in general, because I know that there are dads out there too who are really busy, who have the same struggle as a mom would have. You get so busy doing things that you forget to take care of yourself. But the downside of that is that you're showing your children that you don't really value yourself. So it is very, very important to show them that you value yourself to be healthy, mind, body, and spirit. That's a big thing. And then they see that and they're going to be a reflection of you, whatever it is you're putting out there in the world. And so if we want more compassionate children and we want healthier children, we have to start by aligning what we say with what we do, our actions with our values. And then they can change that. And really, they're going to be the generation that changes everything. So we have to make sure that they're well prepared to do that. Not that my generation can't change things. We can, but I feel like we're setting up the next generation, to do more of that and to probably do a better job than we're doing, quite frankly.
Well, what you just said just this second is really important. And a lot of the people that you're inspiring are in this position where they can either they're going to have children very soon or they already have children. And like you said, like our generation, we're the transitory, we're setting our kids up for hopefully a much better future and a much better way of interacting with nature and the other animals that we share the world with. And they're going to have a very important role with that. But I really think that your role, my role, and people of our generation, it's just as important, if not as important, or more important, pardon me, to help lay the groundwork for these children that are coming up to have that mindset and to have that connection with the world around them, the way that you're doing with your daughter right now. We're the facilitators of that transition, I think.
I agree. And, people are so quick to judge the younger generations. And I think that's the wrong mindset, because what we've seen over the last, let's say 50 years or 100 years, is that each generation has systematically failed the environment and animals and the world hunger issue more and more and more. So it's like everybody's had a chance to do something about all of these problems. And granted, you go 50 years ago, people didn't have the information that we have now. So I do understand that part of things. And that social conditioning runs so deep. So I'm not trying to judge or blame at all, but I am taking part of the blame as well, because we have this information, so we have that responsibility. And so we need to take that instead of using that information to justify what's happened in the past, we need to use it to affect change in the future. And to make sure, like you said, that the younger generations, whether they're our children or just people who may look up to us, even people who are questioning what we're doing, that's okay, because it shows that they have independent thought. If somebody is saying, I question what you're doing as a vegan, that's okay. Let's have that conversation. I'm not going to walk away from a conversation because somebody doesn't agree with me. I don't believe in that. I believe in sitting down and having that conversation, which I know is something that's kind of gone by the wayside with social media, because it's really easy to go back and forth in comments and people can get negative and rude and disrespectful, which I don't like. I don't like that part of social media. What I do like, though, is this ability to reach so many people with your message. And so I think that there are these positive things that we can do. And if people are getting negative, saying, hey, if you want to have that conversation, if you really want to have the conversation, let's have it. Let's have the conversation. Let's set up a call. Let's set up a chat. If it's somebody locally, let's have coffee. Let's have that conversation and really hash it out. Let's talk about the reasons why you feel the way you feel, the reason why I feel the way I feel. And I think when we do that, again, it's kind of taking the ego out of it and being compassionate towards people, no matter what their belief system, because really, beliefs are something that it's fluid. You can believe one thing and realize that, with more information, with more knowledge that you didn't have before, that maybe those beliefs aren't really aligned with your values, so to speak. So maybe you change your beliefs. And that's what I did. 10 years ago, I would have laughed at the idea of being a vegan. Seriously. Going to fast food restaurants and eating. Now I think back and it grosses me out because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I ate these things that were so bad for me. I drink almost every night, drink alcohol and, soda all the time. It was so bad. I look back and think, it was so awful, just so terrible to my own body. But if I can go from that to where I am now, it shows that anybody can change, really. And, I was never an uncompassionate person. I was never a person who didn't care about animals or who didn't care about people. I've always cared so much about animals and about people. But I didn't realize, how my actions, my behavior really weren't aligned with my values. And, once I got to the point of, I think I was kind of afraid of the idea of, even cutting out meat, because in my area where I was raised in Minnesota, we have a lot of, hunters and fishers, and people are very into the dairy industry and whatnot. So that idea of being isolated because of what you are doing and what you believe, it's a little scary. But there's a lot of power in that too, because if you are isolated and you are on your own, that means you're more independent to do what it is you feel you need to do to be your authentic self. And I'm okay with that. I would rather have a couple of really great friends who support me and encourage me than have a whole tribe of people who are fake and who really don't support what I'm doing. And like I said, there's a lot of power in that. There is. And the thing is and I have lost relationships since going vegan because I'm vegan, which I think is kind of ridiculous, but it is what it is. Then they're not meant for me right now. And that's okay. And you just kind of have to let that go. But at the same time, there are more people who are drawn to my message and to what I'm doing, and I'm drawn to other people as well. And you can make these connections and cultivate these new relationships with people who are supportive and encouraging and who have the same values you have. And there's a lot of strength in that and in this community. I think that's a really great thing because we can set other things aside. Do we all agree on everything? No. I can tell you right now, there probably isn't anybody who exactly agrees with anybody else on every single subject. And that's okay. You don't have to agree on everything. But we do agree on, being good to our bodies by, putting good, healthy food into our systems. We agree with doing the least amount of harm possible to animals and the environment. We agree with doing our part to end world hunger. We agree on so many high-level things that the rest of it really doesn't matter. So, and I think we need to see more of that with people who do have certain beliefs that align. We need to figure out how to kind of bring people together, join forces to affect change on those subjects instead of this division that we kind of see happening along the way because somebody's not enough this way or not enough that way. I don't really get into that. I don't care. I really don't care. Where somebody comes from, what they believe in, their religious background, how they voted. I don't really care about any of that. I shouldn't say I really don't care. I don't care about any of that. What I care about is your behavior. What are you actually doing? That's what I care about. I care about your character. And everything else, that's fine because we can work together to change regardless of any of that. So I think, going from this place of 10 years ago, kind of laughing at this idea of giving up meat. I mean, that's a crazy idea. Nobody gives up meat. Where are you going to get your protein? We laugh about that now as vegans, I mean, where do you get your protein?
So cliche.
Right, right. Or giving up cheese. Where are you going to get your calcium? Even though, I mean, obviously, you're not really getting your calcium from your dairy products anyway. But going from that place to this place of kind of having this clarity and this vision and knowing my purpose is so different. And like I said, if I can do that, if I can make that kind of change, anybody can make that kind of change. And there's a lot of freedom that comes along with that. And so I think, just being compassionate towards people, regardless of where they are in their life, that's going to help them at least think about maybe transitioning to a more compassionate lifestyle.
Oh, yeah. And I can imagine the people that were in your life or even you are surrounded by who have seen you gone through your transition, right? And the power that you have now in your own life, not just from a physical standpoint, but you mentioned that, a part of this journey was the self-love and the empowerment that comes from that. I imagine those people who might have been originally, they pushed themselves to the outside, are seeing your transformation and are seeing on some level, I wish I had some of that. I wish I knew what the secret sauce was. And that's how the conversations start happening. And then you can be the facilitator for their own journey. You can start answering the questions that they have for you. And the other part of that is, I really believe that a lot of this, when you say you don't really have a problem with anybody, right? Like what their religion is or where they come from or what their beliefs are or who they voted for. And, there's more than likely most people are compassionate when they're born and they're compassionate at their core. And it's just a few different life circumstances that make them any other way. And when you create the life that you've created for yourself, which is this place of physical strength, of emotional and mental strength, and you're able to provide for yourself in the most valuable ways possible, which is that self-love and self-compassion, and you can extend that to the people around you, the likelihood that you're going to be an instigator or you're going to want to have any type of conflict or to push buttons with the people around you is very low, right? Because your cup is full of love, and now you can share that with the people around you.
Yeah, it is very true. And I've noticed that some people are pushing away even more. And I think it's because they're not in that place of self-love and they see what I'm doing. And in some ways, they're just not ready for that conversation. But on the flip side, there are so many other people, like you said, who are drawn to what I'm doing and they're reaching out, and they'll do so privately because there are people in my own family who are really, really pushing away and they're just not ready for the conversation. And I just say, well, when you're ready, let me know. We can talk about anything. But there are so many other people who will reach out to me either on social media or privately on my private Facebook page, for example. So I have friends from, high school or college, who will reach out and say, hey, gosh, I saw your picture and this is incredible. So tell me, what are you doing? You said that you're vegan. What is that all about anyway? And they'll ask questions. And I think that's a really great place to start because it does open that door to having those conversations. And it isn't coming from a place of being judgmental towards somebody about their lifestyle. It's about showing them a different way and then leaving it up to them whether they want to take that step and make that journey or not. And I'll always be there to answer those questions. Some of my really good friends are still, like a lot of other people in the Midwest, they're hunters, they're fishers. And I'm not going to sit here and say, I'm not going to be your friend because of that, because that's not going to do any good. If you're not around people and you're not open to talking with people, there's no way you're going to be able to positively influence people. And the other thing is this. I don't want to control what anybody does. I think people need to find their own way, just like I found my own way. So I can be there to answer questions and to share my story and the positive impact that, getting into fitness and going vegan has had on my life. And then people see that and they think, oh, maybe I want that for myself. And I've had people actually ask me questions, and I have had friends go vegan because they've seen things that I've posted. And, a lot of people within the rescue community, they're starting to see that, okay, gosh, we're rescuing these animals on one hand, but then we're hosting barbecues on the other hand. And it just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. And being able to justify that is really difficult. And, and especially the thing is having all of these alternatives these days. So now I'm to the point where I really am whole food plant-based. I mean, for the most part, I don't eat the dairy alternatives or the meat alternatives at this point, except maybe for a special occasion. But when I first transitioned, no, I did. And I think those products are so incredibly helpful for people because, and I'm not saying that everybody should go whole food plant-based, but I think just as your journey progresses, I think you kind of naturally go that way. But those products are so great. I just had a friend reach out to me, and she's actually a client of mine too. And I had recommended the Beyond Burgers and the Beyond Brats. And so her and her boyfriend had those for the 4th of July because it's Independence Day here. And so they grilled those Beyond Burgers and those Beyond Brats. And she sent me a text message. Oh my gosh, I don't know what the magic is they put in these things, but they are amazing. That's the best review ever. And she went from, being, eating meat all the time, and her boyfriend as well. And she became my client. And we had gotten back in contact. We weren't really close. We had gotten back in contact about a year ago. And she saw the positive impact that going vegan had on my life and getting into fitness. And she was curious about it. And then once I decided to leave my corporate job and become a personal trainer, she's like, will you help me? Because I really want to get fit. I'm not happy where I am. And so I said, yes, of course I will. Of course I will help you. Anybody needs help, I'm going to help. And she went from cutting out meat and being vegetarian to transitioning into veganism. And her results are incredible. I mean, her before and after pictures are just amazing with doing the workouts I recommend for her and transitioning from, being a meat eater, just having a regular standard American diet, I would say, to going vegetarian and then, switching to veganism. And it's really incredible to see. And the great part is her boyfriend is totally fine with it too, because the food is so good. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. He goes, his reaction to her is so cute. He goes, baby, I'm going to eat whatever you cook, as long as it tastes good, And because he's my friend too. And so it's so heartwarming to see this reaction and to see how compassionate these two people are and that they're so open. And, she didn't do it for the animals. She did it for health because diabetes and heart disease runs in her family. And there are some things that run in my family as well. And both of us got to the point where we said, this is where it stops. It stops with me. The buck stops here. I'm not allowing these issues to continue on because what runs in families really isn't disease. There is a little bit of that. And I understand that from a medical standpoint, but mostly it is habits. Our eating habits, our activity levels, that runs in families. And that's why we see the same problems run in families. And I decided for my daughter, it stops here. And so my friend and I were talking about that. And she, from a health standpoint, decided that she needed to make a change. And her transformation is absolutely incredible. And her numbers are great. I mean, she's 50 years old and she made this change. Wow. And yeah, her. Any age, you can be any age and make a difference in your own life because, people say, well, your best years are in your 20s, your teens. No. Your best years are the years you have left. So you need to live them. You need to live them with as much enthusiasm as possible, with as much love and compassion as possible. Live your life, live your best life because your best life is now. People wait, well, when I retire. Well, my dad found out that he was ill a week after putting in for retirement. And so 6 months later, he passed away. And so my message to people from that is to not wait. Don't wait to be happy. Don't wait till you're retired. Don't wait to live your best life because your best life is now. There is no waiting. And, when we put ourselves on the back burner, our health and our well-being, and we put happiness on the back burner, we say, well, I'll be happy when, or I'll be happy if. What you're doing is making an excuse to put yourself last and to not make yourself a priority. So I encourage people to stop waiting for permission to live their best lives. Stop waiting for permission to be happy. Be happy now. Live your best life now, because your best years are the years you have left. From a health standpoint, when you feel good, you're going to want to get out there instead of getting home at the end of the day when you have a corporate job, and you're just exhausted. You're going to find that you have more energy, I think, when you're treating your body well. And you're going to want to get out and really explore. And maybe you don't want to have a corporate job anymore. Maybe you want to find something else that you really want to do. Find your passion. Find what you're supposed to do. Because really, you can monetize just about anything these days. Mm-hmm. So find what you're passionate about. And that's what you're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. Figure the rest out. That's really, I don't know what other advice to really give people on that standpoint, because that's what I've done. But look at me. I went back to school in my 30s. Got my undergrad degree, my graduate degree for human resources. And then, a year later decided that wasn't for me. Became a personal trainer and a life coach. I'm like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be. But I think, just from the standpoint of being spiritually, mentally, and physically healthy, kind of letting go of that conditioning that you have to follow this certain path and you have to wait to be happy. Mm-hmm. Don't wait to be happy. Be happy now. Be healthy now. That's a really, really big message too that I like to tell people, is just to stop waiting. Stop waiting to live your best life, or stop waiting for permission. You're waiting for somebody to give them permission to live well. Why? Why are you waiting? Don't wait. Yeah. Nobody needs to give you permission. You have to do that on your own.
Mm-hmm. Getting past getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. I like that permission based. The idea of waiting until you retire. This was said to me a long time ago, and I really do believe it is, when you consider health, when you consider your health, and anything that can help bring it up. So through diet, through exercise, that's the one investment you can make that's going to affect your enjoyment of all the other investments you'll ever make. So if you have a summer house, or if you like to go camping or hiking, or if you have this dream of enjoying your retirement and going, doing all the things that you have been putting off until this point in your life, if you haven't invested in your health through your diet, through exercise, then you're not going to be able to enjoy those investments. It really is the one investment that just affects everything else. So you're a personal trainer, you're a life coach as well. And you have this really great story about your own transformation and how that transformation was spearheaded by the relationship that you had with your daughter and that you wanted to cultivate with your daughter. So when you think about your own transformation and the clients that you have and all the people that reach out to you, as you've mentioned on social media, who see the results you've had and the values that you espouse, when you think about all the people who could be listening right now, who are thinking about what's the next step that they could take, right? What would you give that person who just doesn't know what the next step is, the very first thing that they could do? What would you suggest to them?
Well, one thing that I think is very useful is to find a personal trainer or a fitness coach that resonates with you. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's me, maybe it's you, maybe it's somebody else. Who knows? There's so many coaches out there, so many personal trainers out there. And I'm not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and I know that not everybody's going to be my perfect client. And that's okay, because there are so many personal trainers that are so great at what they do. And so each person will find somebody whose story resonates with them. So that would be something that I'd recommend is, looking on social media, and whether it's me or it's another personal trainer, find somebody whose story resonates with you, somebody you feel like you can connect with, and get in contact with that person and see if, they would be the right fit for you. So like if there's somebody who, my style is, I like a lifestyle change that for me, for women and men too, is something that is sustainable. So this isn't something like bodybuilding for a competition. That's not what I do. This is something you can do every single day for the rest of your life. This is just a healthy lifestyle change. So you can be lean and fit and you can feel great. All the meal plans are vegan in my app that's coming up. But there are people out there who really want that, the really kind of like what that bodybuilder physique. And so that would not be my program. That would not be something that they would get from me. But there are other vegan trainers out there who will get them there. And I even have recommendations for that. So, I mean, if people, want a certain physique, a certain, maybe there's a certain goal they want that doesn't really go along with my program, I can recommend people for them. So I think that would be the first step, is to be inspired by people, find somebody to hold you accountable, because it's really, really easy to start a program and then just kind of drop off. And so staying motivated, having somebody hold you accountable, that is a really big part of getting started, and understanding that it's about progress. So don't compare yourself to somebody who's been doing this for a long time. And that was part of my struggle too, is I would look at these before and after pictures, and they'd have these before pictures with, this woman, and, her before picture would be great. And then her after picture, she's got a six pack. And I'm like, I look like your before picture, I mean, I had, over 80 pounds to lose, and so I'm thinking, that program doesn't resonate with me because they don't understand where I am right now. They don't know what it's like to have to lose this much weight and to be in this body that feels so heavy, and just to kind of feel trapped in your own skin, and feel kind of claustrophobic almost in your own body, in your own life. So, so those trainers didn't really resonate with me, and I really struggled with that. And there's this push kind of in the vegan community, and probably other communities too, for everybody to have a certain look. There's to be more cut, to have, really big muscles. And the physique is just beautiful, and it takes so much work to get it. And I appreciate it so much, all the hard work it takes. But that's not what I wanted, though, for me. I'm a really petite person. I'm 5'2", and I'm very small. Well, I wasn't then. I mean, I was still 5'2", but I was, over 80 pounds more than I weigh now. But I wanted something that was sustainable, that, that long, lean muscle, more of that kind of runner's body, because that's just what felt right for me. And so kind of finding that, I always kind of felt like a misfit, even within the fitness community, the vegan fitness community, because what I wanted for myself really wasn't what was out there. And like I said, I appreciate that the physique of bodybuilders so much. It just isn't for me.
Yeah.
So that's the thing too. It's kind of finding that person who resonates with you, and just being consistent and understanding that it is about that progress. It's not about perfection. Don't compare your chapter 1 with somebody else's chapter 20.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, don't do that to yourself, because all you're doing is diminishing the progress you've made. And, today maybe you went from walking not at all to walking for 5 minutes. That's progress, and we should celebrate that progress. Maybe you went from eating meat every day to going meatless on Mondays. That is progress, and we should celebrate that progress. Maybe, you started doing push-ups or flutter kicks, and you've never done them before, and you needed to, have your knees on the ground to do the push-ups. Guess what? We should celebrate that. Even if it's one push-up, celebrate that progress, because tomorrow it's going to be 2 push-ups. And by next month, you're not going to even remember what it was like to struggle the way you did today. And I think that's really, really important, because people think, oh my gosh, if I'm not doing all these supersets, I'm not good enough. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You absolutely are good enough, exactly as you are. Can we always improve? Yes, of course we can. But you're beautiful the way you are. You're good enough the way you are. But let's get you healthier. That's kind of the one thing that I would say is don't compare in social media. That's, I think, one of the downsides, but then also one of the upsides, is that you can find people who have had a story that will resonate with yours. But then you do see these pictures of people and you're thinking, wow, even with, years and years of working out, I'm never going to look like that, So, but, I never thought that I'd be in the shape I'm in either. I mean, when I started this fitness journey, it was about getting healthy. I never, ever thought I'd be comfortable posting the type of pictures that I post now. And I think I was kind of fearful of posting those pictures, quite frankly. But then I kind of got over that and thought, well, if people don't like it, they can just not look, So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I was blown away the other day. I saw one of yours who said, "Oh, I just went out for a 17-mile run." I think it was 17 miles. Oh man, I think that's more than I've ever ran in my entire life.
And that didn't happen overnight, though. That's the thing, And like I said, being a lifelong asthmatic, now I don't even use my rescue inhaler. I haven't actually since I went vegan. I haven't had to use it. But that took time, and it takes patience to get there. That's my chapter 20. And my chapter 1, though, was getting to the point where I was comfortable running a mile.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's really, when people look at that, and I do actually use social media to hold myself accountable. So I put those posts out there to hold myself accountable and to show people that I'm actually doing the work. Because I think sometimes, for people who are maybe starting out, it's really good to see that there are personal trainers out there, and there are people who are posting pictures of themselves in swimsuits or, whatever it might be, who are doing the work. We don't just look that way because we're blessed genetically. We look that way because we're doing the work day in and day out. It takes that work ethic. It's not easy. It's not quick. This isn't something that happens overnight. This is doing that work on a consistent basis. And so I think it's just really, really important for people to see that. And that's why I post, those posts. I do 3 posts a day, one inspirational. I do one that's kind of, whatever I want to post. And then I do a third one that's kind of my workout update for the day. And that's the reason for that third post, is to show people that I am working at this every single day. And hopefully it'll inspire them to maybe start working out 1 day a week or 3 days a week, because you're going to get those results just by making small changes.
Yeah. And one day you're going to wake up and you're going to have an aha moment because something in life has changed. Like you say, maybe you wake up one morning, you go for a run and you realize, oh, I can run a mile today. Or, I can take the stairs at work and I'm not winded by the time I get to the top. And like you say, celebrate those wins. And I really think it's important. It's in the name, actually, Instagram, instant. People look at Instagram and like instant results. But for someone like you and your story, and the fact that you regularly give light to the fact that people are waking up with a struggle before them, to feel trapped in a body that they want to change but don't know how to. They don't feel empowered to do it, and giving them the opportunity, as you do, to see the steps that they can take just that day, not the week, not the month, not the year, but just that day, in order to make a small change that cumulatively will lead up to the larger result that is achievable for them.
Right. And I think that's really important because, it seems like such a daunting task. When you think about it, when I started working out again, I had all this extra weight, and my daughter's a C-section baby. So I had recovered from surgery, which was really difficult. I mean, it was a painful recovery. People think it's 6 weeks. It was more like a year. Wow. Before I could even feel comfortable doing something like a push-up, because it really, and I still can't flex my ab muscles. I mean, so what you see in pictures is what you get. I have to work 10 times harder to have any kind of definition in my abs. I will probably never have 6-pack abs. That's okay with me, because as long as I have that strength and as long as I'm healthy, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not having, that physique. If it comes, it comes. That's great. I'm doing the work. So, but that wasn't my goal. My goal is just to be healthy. But starting off, there was this mindset for me that was different this time around, because I had tried getting fit before, but this time it was for her. It was for my daughter. And so it was this: I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to quit. I'm going to keep moving forward. I'm going to keep progressing. I know it's going to be a little slower than I want, but I know it's going to happen because I'm putting in the work. And I just kept telling myself that every day. I do something every single day. And that's actually how I set up the app that I created, was breaking down each run into manageable sections. So it'll be,
awesome.
Do 5 minutes of this, do 5 minutes of that. And it kind of walks you through, because it's really tough to look at something when somebody goes, oh, go run for 20 minutes or run for 2 miles. And you're like, really? Okay, but what speed? And, it's really, really tough for people to look at something even like that, like a 20-minute run. And for a lot of people, that seems like a huge task. For me at this point, I'm like 20 minutes. All right. I can do that in my high heels, but no. Well, maybe I'd probably have blisters afterwards, but I do not recommend running in high heels.
Make for a good Instagram post.
You know what? It really that's an idea. Definitely. But I just think, kind of understanding that mindset of looking at fitness as being a task at first. But now for me, this is something that I love to do. And I use that time, that workout time, that running as kind of my therapy. I mean, I work through things that are going on. I can gain clarity in that time when I'm running. I just kind of get lost in my music and I can plan for the next day. I can sort, like I said, I can kind of sort through things. So my mindset about fitness has completely changed because now it's something I get to do instead of something I have to do. And, so for my friend too, about the one client I was talking about earlier, she's the exact same way. Now she looks forward to working out and she feels so much better after she works out. She gets up earlier in the morning so that she can work out before she goes to work because she feels that much better about herself and about her life when she, is working out and she's healthy. People are noticing that. And I actually sent her, this is interesting. I encourage people to take selfies. And I know that, people are like, oh gosh, you shouldn't take selfies because, it means you have a big ego. No, I don't agree with that at all because, when you are on a fitness journey, you need a way to be able to see your results and to see your progress. So I say at the beginning of every week, take a selfie from the front, take them from the side. If you're talented enough to take them from the back, go ahead. I do not have that talent. I do not have that ability. I've tried and it's pretty hilarious. I should post those results sometime. It's actually pretty funny. But then you'll see week after week, you're going to see your progress. And for her, I sent her a picture from the beginning of her journey side by side with a picture from now. And she couldn't even believe her own progress. And she's living in this body. And she didn't even believe it. And she said, thank you so much. Because she goes, I'm going to start crying because I'm so motivated to keep going because of the progress I've made. And I'm just so proud of her. And it almost made me cry because I just thought, gosh, she's changed so much and she's so much more confident. And I think there's this idea, that, like you said, there's this instant gratification. Well, the most satisfying things and the most rewarding things in life don't happen overnight. You have to work. And the harder you work, the more satisfying it's going to be when you see those results. So that's something else I would tell people too, if they're starting a fitness journey, understand that as you struggle and as you sweat and as maybe you're not getting your hit moves or whatever it is you're doing, that's okay because with all of that struggle, you're working that much harder. And when you get there, it's going to be that much greater and you're going to be that much happier. It's going to be that much more rewarding. And so really appreciate that struggle because I appreciate all that kind of that blood, sweat, and tears you put into it because like I said, when you get there, it's going to be that much sweeter. So that's definitely something I would tell people if they're just starting out, or maybe they are in the midst of their fitness journey and they're struggling to kind of keep going because it is hard sometimes when you have 80 pounds to lose, you've lost 20. Do you keep going? Yeah, absolutely. Because you know what? You're going to get there and that time's going to pass anyway. So what are you going to do with it? Are you going to wish you had started now or wish you had kept going? Or, are you just going to stop? Or I should rephrase that. Are you going to keep going? Or are you going to wish you had, kept going? And that's part of the thing too. When I started my fitness journey, it was, if I start now in 2 years, I'll be in better shape and I'll be healthier. Otherwise, in 2 years, I will wish that I had started now. So starting now and not making any more excuses.
That's a really powerful one. Knowing, like having that understanding, imagine, because we all have these things. We all, no matter what you've achieved in your life, there's always something that you can think of. Oh, if I'd only started that 2 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and having that ability to say, you know what, I have the opportunity right now to commit to myself and for you, for your daughter. And I think that's a really, really important thing that you touched on is having a powerful why. Why are you doing this? Why are you willing to wake up every morning and put the work in? Why are you willing to get up when you have a stumbling block? The more powerful you can make that why, the more likely you'll succeed. And I think, from you, hearing your story, and the transformation that you achieved in your life, and the deep dive into why you were able to achieve it. That's something that I would imagine you could really help other people find. Being an online trainer, an online coach, you can ask the questions that someone wouldn't think to ask themselves. And so for someone's listened to your story at this point, they probably heard a lot of themselves in you. How do they find you? How do they reach out to you so that you can help facilitate that change in themselves?
That's a really good question. So there are a number of ways. They can email me. I'm really responsive via email. So that's badassablerunners@gmail.com that's my fitness program
I love that
I
name, by the way.
Thank you. I do too. Well, it's about having this identity where you go from feeling so helpless and hopeless and powerless to being a badassable runner. And that means that you are fierce, you are strong, you are committed, and it's finding you're awesome. It's finding your power through fitness, through delicious vegan food, because I have these really amazing recipes right in the app.
Amazing.
And which is coming out. We're waiting for it to go live right now. So, I mean, it should be live within the next couple of days. So this is really awesome. I have daily workouts, and bonus features and all this stuff. So, they can reach out to me via email. They can also find me on social media. So I have Badassable Runners on Instagram and on Facebook. And See Jane Do Everything. That's my personal page. And I'm kind of documenting my own journey. Mm-hmm. And so just kind of, finding my way. That's what See Jane Do Everything is all about. And so I made this list of goals that I wanted to achieve by the time I turned 40. And getting fit was one of those goals. And there are a lot of goals that are a part of this. But the great thing about it is that, creating the Badassable Runners program wasn't even something that I thought I would do a year ago. But I had so many people reach out, like you said, who my story resonated with them. They saw a lot of themselves in me. And I had somebody say, the way you described how you felt, being trapped, feeling claustrophobic, feeling hopeless and helpless and completely powerless about your situation. That's exactly how I feel. And I just don't know how to change it. And I had said, I knew it was time to stop making excuses and to really take control of my life and my health, my well-being. And I had kind of listed some things that had been going on in my life, experiencing loss. I lost a couple of members of my own family. I lost my dad when I was 19. And then I lost my sister when I was 26, and a couple of really great friends in the years following. And that grief was kind of, I don't want to say it was an excuse to treat my body poorly, but I definitely kind of, instead of dealing with those emotional struggles, it was easier for me to just keep busy and to kind of beat my body up so that I didn't have to deal with that emotional pain. And that's something that resonates with people who have experienced loss, because they know what it's like to try to stay so busy that you don't have to deal with it. And the thing is, it doesn't go away. It's still there, so you do have to deal with that. Being a mom, I'm having surgery, having a chronic illness, working full time, going to school. I mean, all these things that people use as an excuse to put their health on the back burner. So many people are like that, and I get them. So yeah, they can reach out to me on my personal page, on that See Jane Do Everything, Badassable Runners. They can email Badassable Runners directly. That's me. I will respond to them. There's not like a bot in there that responds to people. That is actually me. And they can sign up for the app. Like I said, when it goes live, they can go ahead and sign up for the app and start their workout program right away. The great part about that is that I actually host a live chat every single week for all of my clients in our Facebook group.
Oh,
so
amazing.
That's really cool. Yeah, it's something different that I really haven't seen from anybody else out there in the fitness community. So, and maybe it'll catch on and other trainers will do that. And I think it's great if other trainers kind of do something like that for their clients. I think it would be great. And that would actually, show this shift from being an online trainer who doesn't have a lot of communication with their clients to being an online trainer who uses that online capacity to communicate with their clients. And so that's, kind of what I want for my group and for my program is to utilize that online capability, not to have this huge number of clients, but rather to communicate with the clients I have. And so, and then I can help them through their journey. Being a life coach too, I can help them with any of their questions they have too. I don't have all the answers. I'm not going to pretend to have all the answers. But
I think that's like
a lot.
Well, honestly, the whole coaching idea, or the being a coach is not about having the answers. And the fact that you admit that you don't have the answers means you're probably a fantastic coach, because the ability to coach someone comes from what you just talked about, which is being a conduit for conversation, for communication, and really just giving people access to a safe space where they can talk about the things that are the most challenging parts of their life in the moment, and having someone like yourself, a mentor, to guide them through the rough patches, the rocky terrain, and help them on to the other side.
Right. And I think you're right, because, a lot of times people feel so self-conscious about reaching out and saying, hey, this is my struggle today. I'm having, this is sore, I have this pain, or emotionally I feel this way, or I ate something I knew I shouldn't have eaten. I mean, reaching out to your fitness coach and saying, your vegan fitness coach, and saying, I ate something non-vegan I know I should not have had. There's a lot of shame there. And I don't want people to feel that way. I want people to feel like they can come to me and they can tell me what's going on, because it is not about perfection. There are going to be times when you mess up, and there are going to be times when, we are human beings. And this is just, something that, unfortunately there's this tendency for people to do what's easy. And so people are going to fall into that, and to not feeling that shame, to understand that, all right, you did that. Let's forget about that and let's move on, because you can't do anything about it now, but you can make sure that you don't do that again. So let's continue to move on. Talk to me about anything, or if they're struggling with certain things, like women who have had children and they have your body changes in ways that, other people don't really understand. If you see a woman out there and she's never had kids, it's not that she doesn't struggle with her body, and it's not that she doesn't understand what it's like to be a woman who wants to be fit and healthy. But when you do have kids and your body has gone through that kind of transformation as a mother, it's just different, because there is that struggle there, and your body does change from a lot of different standpoints. And so, you have, you might have weight in certain areas that you don't know how to lose. Well, I can help with that, because I've been there. And to not be ashamed of that, and also to not use it as an excuse to not take care of yourself, because to say, well, I've got this mom bod or this dad bod or whatever it happens to be. That's fine, but you can have a mom bod that looks just rocking too, because that's part of it. You really can. You can have it like really hot mom body. That's totally fine with that. Really, hot dad body, whatever it is. You don't need to be out of shape just because you're a parent. You can set a really good example for your kids, and you can be in just great shape and feel. The thing is, it's not just about your looks. It's about that transformation internally, having that energy to run around with your kids. I mean, my daughter is 3 years old. If I wasn't in this good a shape, being able to be out and play with her during the day and to run around with her and to have that kind of energy wouldn't even be possible. 80 plus pounds ago, it wouldn't even be possible for me to keep up with her. But now, I mean, we dance, we sing, we have fun. I mean, we blow bubbles all the time because she just likes to do that. And play in the sand and all different kinds of things that kids like to do. And I really enjoy it. It's like being a kid again myself, but I never would have had that energy if I wasn't healthy. I mean, then having that mindset too of just kind of living in the moment and being with her and not having to worry about that struggle, that health struggle, that weight struggle, not being so self-conscious in my body. I mean, I don't care anymore. People can look or not look, doesn't matter to me. But I think, when people are unhealthy or they are out of shape, there's that constant fear of somebody looking at them and judging what they look like. And that comes from that place of not being in a place of self-love. And the more confident we are with ourselves, the less we care about what anybody else thinks. And I think there's a lot of power in that too. That's
where all the power comes from.
Exactly.
I feel like yeah, that cultivating self-love and compassion and not caring. Like, I always thought that the people who are the most empowered, powerful, I guess, but the most empowered aren't the people who are born without flaws. It's the people who know their flaws, own them so that they aren't owned by them. And I shouldn't say flaws, but, the things that they, all of our little insecurities that we all have, owning them before they have a chance to own you. And so I love how you said that, just not caring what other people think.
And I love that. That's a really great phrase. I really like what you just said there. And it is important because I'm not perfect. I mean, I am far from perfect, but I think, I was never the beautiful one growing up. There's always somebody else in my family who is the beautiful one. So people would always call me cute, and it would always bother me. And I have plenty of other flaws too. Don't get me wrong. I mean, plenty of others. I could be here all night listing my flaws, but now at 38 years old, I own the crap out of being cute, and I am totally okay with that. And I find a lot of power in that, in being this petite woman and being confident and comfortable in my body exactly the way I am. I'm not this 6 foot tall blonde model, I'm 5'2", and I'm, brunette and, like I said, very petite, and I'm okay with that. I own that. I own being cute. I own being petite. And, even a couple of years ago, I was so self-conscious about that. Now I don't care, because everything that people have kind of used to try to put me down in the past, I see as one of my strengths. So all of these, flaws are really, they've kind of become the most beautiful aspects of my personality because I own it. Like you said, you just own that. And I'm a little much for some people. I am really outgoing.
That's a good thing.
But, I own that because I realize that I can use that to help people feel comfortable and to come out of their shell and to communicate with people in a way that maybe they couldn't with other people. Because some people hold back so much with communicating that because they're so careful about what they say and so cautious all the time about everything. And I'll just kind of put it out there, and in a compassionate way, of course, but I don't really hold a lot back. And so I will use that as a strength to help me and my purpose in finding, people out there who need my help, in finding their awesome, in finding their power. And so those people will be drawn to me, and that's totally fine. So all of these flaws are now something that I see as a strength, really.
I love that.
So I love that you said that, because that's exactly in this last 2 years, actually year and a half, it's been a huge transformation for me. And that's exactly part of my journey. That's part of what I've done as well. So.
That's amazing. So you have an app coming out, and you mentioned one of the big differences about this app is that you're really giving the person who's signing up for it all the tools that they're going to need in order to get their runs in, get their workouts in, and taking all the ambiguity out of it that a lot of other apps have. So this app that's about to come out in a few days, but by the time this podcast comes out, will be out. How does someone find it, and what can they expect from it?
That's a really great question. So the app is called Badass Rebel Runners, and you can find it for Android on Google Play. You can find it on the Apple Store as well. So go ahead and just download the app. Right now, I'm running a special actually for $19.99 a month. And so
Awesome.
that's an incredible deal because normally it's going to be $29.99 a month. So this is a really great special. And the reason for that is because I want people not to hesitate to take control of their health and their well-being. I want people to download the app and to get going today, living their best life. So, and within the app, like you said, they get their daily workouts and everything is broken down into manageable sections. So people are not wondering. I've taken the guesswork out of it. And the reason why is because in my fitness journey and my journey into becoming vegan, I stumbled a lot along the way and I had a lot of roadblocks. And so, people trying it on their own are more than welcome to do that. But with this app, it really takes that guesswork out of it. And so I've got vegan meal plans with recipes. So you can follow along these recipes. You can eat what you want. There's a recipe for lasagna. There's a recipe for pizza. There are whole food plant-based recipes, all vegan. So people choose what they want to eat for the week. They do their meal prep and their meal planning for the week. And then they're set. And then they've got their workouts for the week. I host a weekly chat every week to have that FaceTime with all of my clients, which is so great. And they can certainly reach out to me as well. So I'm on Instagram, Badass Rebel Runners, and on Facebook as well. And they can reach out to me. If they want to email me, that's fine too. badassrebelrunners@gmail.com. And I will respond, because if you send messages through Instagram or Facebook, sometimes they get lost in that message request land that just kind of loses messages. So I wouldn't recommend sending me a message that way because it doesn't always come through to me. So definitely, reach out to me via email if you have specific questions, and then we can go from there. But yes, so that $19.99 a month promotion is going on right now, but that is going to go away because I can't keep it that price forever. But I do want people to sign up because I really, I just want people to live their best lives. I do. And I want to help people, and I don't want them to worry about the cost of it, because, when it comes to investing in your health and your well-being, I think sometimes when you're first starting, even though, I've spent, people who have been in my position that I was, a couple years back, have probably spent thousands of dollars looking for a quick fix, looking for something that's going to help them. But, when you're looking at, oh my gosh, it's a cost for an app. I don't know. It's an app. So I wanted to make it affordable for people. Because you know what? The more people who are happy and healthy and living their best lives, the better.
One thing that I want to add to this, because it's $20 and, $20, if you went to the movies this week or last week, you spent more than $20 on going to the movies. And it's, from what I'm hearing is it's not like they're getting an app, but really like the app is a conduit to more. The app is going to be on their phone, but they have access to the chats through your Facebook group. They have basically they're getting an accountability coach in one way, shape, or form. So the app is it's the mechanism for this, but that coaching, that mentorship that you're offering is really the difference maker. So for $20 to have a mentor, you open up your phone and you have someone who's been in the same shoes that you're in right now and gone through the journey that you're about to embark upon. I can't think of a better way to spend $20 than to have a mentor at your fingertips.
Right. It's like 3 cups of coffee. You go and get a latte, you go out to eat once, you're going to spend more than $19.99.
Exactly.
So it's, the cost is really affordable, and that's by design. I really did want to make it affordable for people. So that is a special going on right now. And the really cool thing within the app is that I actually have the program set up. So I've got beginners, intermediate, and advanced. So people can go through and start with a beginners program. And so things do get more difficult as they go on, and a little bit more challenging. Then I have bonus features too. So people can use those exercises to, get the results even faster. But the beginner, intermediate, and advanced programs, there's no gym membership required. and there are no weights required, no equipment required. So people are going for a run with me 3 days a week. They're doing HIIT training as well. And then we have a walk on day 7 because the body in motion stays in motion. So we are, setting people up for success with being active every single day. And that sets it apart too from some of the other fitness programs out there, because I'm walking you through every step of the way. You have me every single week, like you said, and within the app as well. The link to get a hold of me is literally within the app every single week.
Oh,
so
amazing.
For your intro for the week, it's right there. You want to email me? It's right there. The support for the Facebook group is right there within the app. So everything, if you want Badassable Runners clothes, guess what? That link is right there in the app too. So, if you want that gear because of your new identity as a Badassable runner, you're fierce, you're strong, you're committed, and you want to show the world about, all this new positivity and power that you have, that's right there in the app as well. So it's a really cool thing, and it's taken a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of work, a lot of sleepless nights, to be perfectly honest with you, to get this exactly the way I want it to be. But it's worth it because, even reaching one person is worthwhile, because then that one person is going to reach somebody else with their positivity and with their new outlook on life. And there's a lot of power in that. And being able to be compassionate towards other people, which is a part of this group. So this program is set up to help people really become healthy, mind, body, and spirit. So I have challenges for people right within the program for them to practice gratitude every day, which is something that you don't really see in a lot of other programs. I have a challenge for people to do something active, something creative, and something to give back every single day, because I believe that is something that's going to help you really take care of your mind, body, and spirit as well. So, and I'm actually working on an expert. I'm working on an expert program right now as well. So that will be added in. I add recipes every month. So it's a really cool way for me to share my story with the world, and also to help people find their awesome, because this is my purpose. And that's a really cool thing about becoming vegan and my fitness journey, is that, this was done. My why is my daughter, and, being a good role model for her, doing the best I can to show her what it means to be fit and healthy inside and out. And I found my purpose, which is helping other people and just leveraging my experience to serve other people. And I think when we do that, we're putting so much positivity out there in the world. And if we can inspire any number of people to do that, we're going to see this change. And we're going to see that positivity ripple. And I know negativity is so popular these days, and it spreads so quickly, but positivity yields results. And that's something that is huge for this group, for this team, for the Badassable Runners, is that I challenge people to avoid getting into those negative conversations on social media. Just avoid it, because it's not going to go anywhere. That's not who you are. Be a positive change, be a positive force, be compassionate towards other people and towards animals and the environment. And that's something that I think, with this group, it's really going to spread quickly, because people are going to feel so much better about themselves when they let go of that negativity, and they can focus on the positive and on those positive changes they can enact. And so that's a part of this app and this group as well.
Yeah. Full support network, everything you need.
Everything
you have the meal plans, you have the fitness routine, and probably most importantly, the accountability factor. So
yes.
That's
I will
awesome.
hold you accountable like nothing else you've ever seen.
That's awesome.
In the nicest way possible, because that's my style is, not forceful. It's, so did you get your workout in today? Because, you got to get it in.
That's awesome. So people reach out to you. You're a shining example of what someone can achieve if they take the time to invest in themselves. And also, you had a really great why. You did this for your daughter, and that was it seems like one of the main reasons why you're able to get up and do the work every single day and create this new life for yourself, and now inspire others to do just that. So there's something that you're going after right now, which I believe will help facilitate even more change and even more people. Should you get it, is the Miss Health and Fitness title. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes.
So can you tell me more? Can you tell us more about that and how we can help you too? Because I imagine that we can help you get after that, right? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. So this is really exciting. And this is something that I didn't even want to tell anybody about until it was a sure thing. So the Miss Health and Fitness competition is going on right now. It is a competition for women all across North America to earn the title of Miss Health and Fitness. And so this title is really important because it is a platform for the winner to actually, share their story. And even for each competitor, it is a platform for them as well. And so we are actually through round one. So I did make it through round one already, which is fantastic. Awesome. So we're in round two. And the thing is, I never thought I would be able to do something like this. But now that I'm in this position to really share my story and to put myself out there, I thought, this is a great way to show people what hard work can do. So if you are willing to be consistent, if you're willing to put the work in and day out, you'll get to the point where you are confident enough to do this. And so earning this title would be so amazing because, like I said, it would be that platform to really help more people. And, all of the women in this competition are so incredibly deserving. I mean, you look at these pictures, and I look at the pictures because I love seeing healthy, strong women. And so I look at them and I think, wow, I'm so inspired by every single contestant in this competition. So truly, everybody is beautiful and deserving. And so I am 38 years old, so I am older than probably the majority of the contestants. But I want to prove to the world that a 38-year-old mom and vegan athlete can win something like this because there's this mindset that you have to consume meat and dairy in order to be healthy, in order to be fit. And I'm proving that wrong, just like you, just like so many other athletes out there. And so being able to win something like this, yes, it would be great for me and for my brand, Badass Rebel Runners, absolutely. But more than that, in a broader scale, to be able to prove that a vegan can do this, to show the world that a vegan athlete can be just as fit, if not more so than someone who consumes meat and dairy would be amazing. And the way that everybody can help me is actually to vote daily. The link I actually have in See Jane Do Everything. If they go to my profile in my bio, they can just click that link. I've got it set up right there, and they can vote every single day. You get a free vote with a Facebook login. Awesome. There are warrior votes, and you can pay for those. Warrior votes, that goes to Homes for Wounded Warriors. So if people are going to pay for votes, it actually goes for a really good cause. So it goes to Jared Allen, who actually used to play for the Minnesota Vikings. I'm from Minnesota. So I'm a big fan of his and what he does for veterans and wounded warriors. And so it does go for a good cause. So it's for Jared Allen's Homes for Wounded Warriors if they want to do that type of a paid vote. But there's that free vote every day. So if everybody were to do a free vote every day, they could really push me forward to the next round. So I would really appreciate that. And just to keep those votes coming too. And I do update my story every day too. So if people want to check that out, they can just swipe up and vote there as well.
Awesome.
I try to make it as easy as possible for people to give me their votes because I'd really appreciate it. But like I said, just being able to, even be in this competition is such an honor to be in the presence and, in the same category as all of these women who are also so deserving and so beautiful and so fit and such a shining example of what women can do with their bodies when they're committed to their health and their well-being.
Yeah. I really like the idea of, someone hearing that you're in this competition and also hearing the story that you shared about your own journey and realizing that, I don't have to continue on this path that I'm on right now. I have an example right in front of me of someone who was able to do this transformation and the transformation that you went through and seeing that as proof of concept that, if you find the why, if you can dive deep enough down into yourself to figure out why do you want to move into a body that you feel healthy in, confident in, and inspired in, if you can dive into that why, then you're literally unstoppable. You can do exactly what you're doing right now, which is,
Right.
can you, I don't know, would you have imagined when you were, pre-vegan, 80 pounds heavier, and not where you are today, would you have imagined that you would go after Miss Health and Fitness as a vegan, as someone who went through this amazing transformation?
No, I would not have ever thought that I would be confident enough to wear a bikini in my bedroom with the door closed. That was not even something that I thought would be possible. I mean, I thought that forever, the only way that I'd wear a swimsuit would be with a cover up covering my entire body. I mean, that was something that, and I think for a lot of women, and I know men go through this too. The thing is, I've talked to men who are not comfortable taking their shirts off at the beach because they're so self-conscious about how they look. And I do understand that. So, I mean, I, don't understand exactly what they're going through because I'm not a man, but I understand that they are, lacking that confidence and that men do go through this too. But for a woman, not being confident enough to be in a swimsuit, a one piece, a bikini, it doesn't matter. Even being in shorts back then, 80 pounds ago, I wasn't even comfortable enough to wear shorts. Trying on jeans, there was, going into the fitting room and you think you've got a pair of jeans that's your size and you can't even get them up over your hips. I mean, that's something that as an overweight woman, every woman who's in that position knows exactly what I'm talking about because, you get in there and you feel so much smaller as a person, just like you've been beaten down because, once again, something didn't fit. This pair of jeans didn't fit. And so I like to tell people, imagine being able to grab a pair of jeans that is your size off the shelf, go into the fitting room. And now imagine this, go into the fitting room, you put them on, you can zip them up, you can button them, you can look at yourself in the mirror and you don't want to stop looking at yourself because you look good, because you feel good. And you're healthy and you're happy and you're confident. And that three-way mirror is no longer your worst enemy. It's your best friend because you're looking at yourself from all different angles going, yeah, I'm really happy with my progress. Like, I feel really good. Like, I want to take selfies, in the mirror. And people might think that's overindulgent or, gosh, you're so full of yourself. No, absolutely not. When you have put that much work into your body, you should feel that good. You should feel that confident. You should want to get your camera out to take selfies. I mean, you should want to be in pictures with your own kids. That's the thing. I mean, maybe that's your why. Maybe, you don't want to be in family pictures because you can't hide enough of yourself to be comfortable in that picture. For a lot of people, they're like, no, I want to be behind the camera because I don't want to be in that family picture with my children. Your kids need to see you in pictures with them. You need to be in those family pictures. Maybe that's your why. So that you are proud of how you look in those pictures with your kids. You're going to take selfies with you and your children because you want pictures that they can remember you by, years from now. And you feel confident and comfortable enough to do that. Maybe that's your why. Maybe you just want to be able to walk to the mailbox without getting winded. Maybe that's your why. Like you said, when you can find your why, I think that's really powerful. And everybody's going to have a different story and everybody's going to have a different why. And, maybe if there is somebody out there who is a musician, maybe you want to be able to play an entire set without feeling so exhausted afterwards. Maybe you want that mobility to be able to move around the stage without, feeling like, you can't move afterwards or without feeling so heavy. Maybe you want to be more agile. Maybe there's a sport you've always wanted to play or a race you've always wanted to run. There are just so many whys. And as you go along your fitness journey too, your why might change because you can have this why to start with, and that's always going to be constant. But then your goals are going to become bigger and broader, and you're going to, as you accomplish one goal, as you smash your goals, one after another, you're going to find new ones to crush, and you're just going to keep going. And the more you do that, the more confident you get, the more goals you're going to want to set. And all of a sudden, it kind of becomes this really, really cool competition with yourself Like you want to best yourself, because I wanted to run a 5K. And I'm like, after I started running again and ditched dairy and all that, I thought a 5K is way too easy. So then my goal was a 10K. And then I was like, I'm running a 10K almost every day. Like it's not even a challenge at all. And then it was a marathon. And I still plan on running a marathon, but I'm actually training for an ultra marathon because at that 26.2 miles, I can already do that. I mean, that's I run like, between 65 and 70 miles a week. So it's really not a problem. Still, I'm looking at these people who I admire on social media who are also distance runners, and some of them are running ultra marathons. And I thought, you know what? I think running an ultra marathon at least once a year, that's going to be my goal. Running a regular marathon and an ultra marathon. Because if you're going to do it, why not go big, right? Why not do these things? But that's the whole thing, is that, kind of allowing yourself to change and for your goals to become bigger, because as you become more confident, more fit, and as you become the healthiest version of yourself, you aspire for more. And then you realize, okay, I can do all these things from a fitness standpoint, and I can also be a voice for the voiceless. I can enact change for animals, and I can be compassionate towards other people, and I can really use my voice and use my story to help so many living beings and to help the world on a broader level. And I think that's really cool too, because all of a sudden your vision, goes from being so narrow with what you can do or what you think is possible, to realizing that if you really want to change yourself, if you really want to change the world, you can do it. You just need to do the work, and you need to be open to the idea of really making those changes within yourself and within your mind, within your spirit, within your body. And then that projects out into the world. And that can be such a huge positive thing. And that can really, like I said, it can enact change that maybe you thought you could never do. So I think that's a really cool thing. And it's really powerful to realize that, I'm one person. And what can one person really do? The answer is a lot. And I think, every single person realizing their power to enact change is a really, really powerful message, because it does matter. Everything you do matters. It's not about being perfect. It's about all of us being imperfect, but doing everything we can. And that all adds up. So that's something really cool that's kind of happened in my life too, is just kind of realizing my power and harnessing that, not being afraid of using that power and using my voice and my, my outgoing personality, just using that, not being afraid of it, just really using it to my, using my abilities, using my voice to, try to enact change for the better, for everything, for the environment, for animals, for health, world hunger. I mean, everything. It's all about everything. And I see this with some people too, and the people who are the most authentic to who they really are going to lose people. You are going to have people who step away from you. You are going to have people who criticize you. You're going to have people who throw shade your way. And you know what? That's okay, because when people are doing that, it means that you have reached them. When people are angry because you are putting a compassionate message out there, it's actually a good thing, because they care. And you've gotten to them because they're throwing shade your way. They're getting angry. They are, being maybe even aggressive towards you because they actually care. And they don't want to think that they have the ability to change the way you've changed. But you've planted that seed, and you don't know how far that's going to go. And if you can kind of cultivate that, and if you just show through yourself and through your life and through your actions all the positive things that can happen by living a compassionate, cruelty-free life, that seed can grow into something really amazing. So you just never know what's going to happen. And then there are all these other people who are so open to it. And that's the thing, when you're more authentic, when you are true to your authentic self, the right people are going to be drawn to you. And those are the people who are going to lift you up and cheer you on along your way. And those are the people to really surround yourself with and along your whole journey. And the people who are critical of you, keep them on the outskirts. Don't worry about that. If it's your family, even, a lot of people feel like, oh gosh, if my family is going to criticize me, I don't think I can do it because I don't want to lose those relationships. Well, you know what? Don't completely disconnect, don't write them off entirely, but you might have to distance yourself. And there's a lot of freedom there because the conditioning we have a lot of times does come from our families. So if we have to distance ourselves for a time in order to be true to our authentic selves, that's okay. If it's meant to come back around, the relationship will come back around. And there's a lot of power in that too.
Yeah, well said. Couldn't have asked for a better description of not only how and why to vegan, but how to navigate the waters around relationships when you do become vegan. And allowing people that aren't resonating with what your new way of living through veganism creates that space, like you said, for new people to show up that are resonating or that need to hear from you, that need to learn from you. It makes that space for them to enter your life. Okay. I can't say how appreciative I am of all the work that you do, the story that you have of your own transformation, how you're sharing that with the people who follow you and the people who are finding you. That type of inspiration is so powerful because, this change has affected your life, but now it's able to affect thousands of other people's lives who find you, and their transformation because of you is now going to affect thousands of people in their lives. So you really are causing a ripple effect by sharing your story, by sharing your knowledge, and by helping people who are looking for a mentor, who are looking for someone to help them down the path of this journey to realize their most authentic, creative, empowered, compassionate self. So I appreciate your time today. I really do.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. It's been an honor to be here. And I just appreciate everything you do to really spread veganism, the message there, and compassion, and listening to your other podcasts, which I've been doing. It's so clear how passionate you are about living a compassionate and cruelty-free life, and spreading that word in such a compassionate way, I think draws people to you, and it draws people to the veganism movement and makes people at least think about maybe making a few changes to live a more cruelty-free, compassionate life. So I really appreciate you and everything you do as well. So thank you for having me. It's been an honor.
Thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to listen to this episode of the Powerplantbody podcast. If you learned something and got some value, I'd be grateful if you shared it with your friends and family who would also enjoy it. To learn more about Jane and her online coaching programs and her new training app, you can check her out on Instagram with her handle @c.jane.do.everything. That's CSEE.Jane, JANE .do.everything. EVERYTHING. And she has a link in her profile to her new Badass Rebel Runners app, but you can also search it out in the iTunes and Google Play Store by typing in Badass Rebel Runners. If you'd like to connect with me, you can head over to powerplantbody.com or follow me on Instagram @TheVeganTrainer. And remember to subscribe to the Powerplantbody podcast so you know when another interview with an inspiring teacher drops. I like to end all these episodes with my favorite quote. It's by Mark Twain, and he said that the secret to success is just getting started. So that goal that you're working on, that vision of yourself that you want to bring into reality, now's the time to go out there and get started.